All right, joining us now from Capitol Hill, the senior senator from Oklahoma, Republican Jim Inhofe. Nice to see you on the show, sir. Thank you for coming on board. I take it you were with the Secretary of the Army when this all went down.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
Well, let me tell you first a real coincidence. I was with the Secretary last night when this actually happened, and we got the notice, the two of us were together. And ironically, yesterday morning, Senator Kelly Ayotte, who's on the committee on our research, she made this statement. She asked the panel of installations, now listen to this, she said, what steps are you taking to prepare for, prevent, and respond to threats to personnel and facilities in light of the Fort Hill, of the 2009 Fort Hood shooting? I mean, she asked that question yesterday, not knowing that that very day this thing would happen again. And she said that the answer that she got, and this was to the secretaries of the installations, military installations, was totally inadequate. And that only happened yesterday.
Mr. Senator, this is Nicole Wallace. I have a question about the military, broadly speaking, and mental health. I know that the Army specifically has done so much, and they've had to adapt to a ballooning population with mental health issues and PTSD, but are we still in a defensive crouch? And are we still getting to these soldiers too late? Obviously, what happened yesterday is an example, but on a broader scale, before an intervention can happen, it seems like a soldier has to be so obviously disturbed. Can we not get further upstream with this? Well,
you're asking the right person, because I actually introduced the legislation starting in 2010, 2011, and 2012. The vice chief of the Army at that time was Corelli, General Corelli. He was a real stickler for this. He wanted to do something to try to analyze, try to determine in advance what types of PTSD or other drug problems or other things could cause something like this to take place. Now, obviously, we haven't done it. We've actually worked on this on every defense authorization bill since 2010. A lot more needs to be done, but I really think that the statement that Kelly asked yesterday, that is so revealing that we knew that they aren't doing enough in the military to do this, and yet they're making every effort. Certainly, General Corelli did. There's one other thing that when I was in the Army, we didn't have the restrictions that they have on right now. And I'm thinking about what happened yesterday. And this individual was finally stopped by a security woman who was armed. Now, these guys over there are at the mercy of someone who's out on a rampage that we saw yesterday, because they know, the perpetrators of these crimes know that they're not armed out there. And so I would just disagree with a lot of these gun control people that who are kind of trying to blame the guns instead of the individuals, and allow them to be defended. I think that has to be looked at.
Senator, this is Thomas Roberts. As we talk about PTSD and taking care of our own here, I just want to have you talk about the folks back at home in Oklahoma. We're coming up on the one-year anniversary next month of the devastation that happened in Moore. I know we're in tornado season right now. We were all there with Morning Joe last year. So how are the folks back home doing?
Well, they're doing well. You have to keep in mind, the one that took place last time in the area of Moore, Oklahoma, that had taken place just a few months before that in the same location. We're used to it. We have a lot more of the safe homes now, and we've actually passed laws federally and locally to encourage people to have safe shelters in their homes, and that's actually happening now. It's people who don't live in Tornado Alley, don't really have a sense for what goes through these people's minds. I don't know of one person in Oklahoma who hasn't been through one of these. I certainly have myself. So they are taking precautions. They're doing the smart thing, and the state legislature and the governor are working very well on this.
Senator James Inhofe, thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
Thank you.
Still ahead, after decades under the